Welcome, everybody, to the Huddle, KGUN9's weekly streaming sports talk show. I'm Jason Barr, joined as always by Pat Paris. Pat, good afternoon. We're reunited after a couple weeks away.
Yeah, you had a
And
couple of weeks of vacation and well rested, I hope.
For sure. We've got a guest today who is joining us, Pat, from just outside Knoxville, Tennessee. He is Ian Mejia, who is a pitcher for the Mississippi Braves, the Double-A team of the Brave system, of course, and he is from Southern Arizona. And Ian, thank you so much for joining us for a couple of minutes here on the Huddle. I'm Jason. He's Pat. Thanks for taking some time.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. So Ian, of course, the Southern League Pitcher of the Month threw a no-hitter for the Mississippi Braves, a 7-inning no-hitter, 11 strikeouts. Ian, congratulations on the recent success. How does that no-hitter compare to some of the other things you've accomplished in baseball so far?
Thank you. It's up there. It's probably at the top, honestly. It was a high moment in my career, and I'm very thankful to have been a part of that with the guys that I was.
It's always interesting to talk to somebody who throws a no-hitter, Ian, and kind of go through that game, because at what point did you start thinking that maybe there was a possibility, or when did you even in your own mind go, oh, wait a minute, I haven't a lot of hit yet?
There was an at-bat which ended up being the first walk, and it was after that walk that I realized what was going on. And there was a couple pitches that probably could have gone my way, and that's kind of when I started to notice. But just tried to stay locked in, and finish the job.
But even more impressive is that you've backed up that no-hitter with a 7-inning scoreless performance in your next start, and you had 30 and a third, I believe it was, scoreless innings in the Southern League. What's been working so well for you so far this year?
I just been getting to know myself as a pitcher, as an athlete, getting to know my body and what I'm capable of doing, and working with Wes, our pitching coach here. He's been helping me out a lot, and he helps me perform to the best of my ability. So that's just kind of what I try to do every day, is try to go out there and work with what I have that day and try to do my best job.
Of course, Ian, a Nogales native, Sal Rita High School, Pima College. We'll get into all that before he went to New Mexico State and then on to the big leagues. What have they?
Minor leagues, but not yet.
Minor leagues.
Not yet. Well, he's going to get there.
My question was leading to the major leagues, and that is, what has the Braves organization been doing with you to help you in those steps to now get to Double-A and then have terrific success here? And then obviously your ultimate goal would be playing in the major leagues.
Like I said, they've done a very good job at opening my eyes and showing me what I'm capable of. I started developing a new pitch, which is a splitter, and I've always had that pitch kind of in the back pocket, never really threw it too much in game. And last year I went to Instructs, and it was basically splitter camp for me. So I was learning the split and kind of refining it and fine-tuning it and getting it ready for this year. So now that's probably one of the biggest improvements that I've made to this point.
What was it like growing up in Nogales playing baseball? We were asking you before we went on. We thought maybe you were part of that Nogales Little League team that won the Intermediate Little League World Series, but it turns out you just missed that by a year. What was it like growing up in Nogales baseball, and what's the baseball atmosphere like down there by the border?
It's awesome. I mean, baseball, it's everything down there. The culture runs deep, and a lot of the coaches that are coaching you are the same people that were playing in on that field and stuff. So there's always talent coming out of Nogales. It's always going to be like that, and the culture is always going to be there. It was really cool to grow up there and learn the game there.
And you get the kind of the groundwork laid for your own professional career now, with intermediate stops quickly at the U of A, but then at Pima. What did Coach Hakami do at Pima? What do you attribute your time at Pima? The success you had there. What do you attribute that to?
Coach Hakami is a great guy, great baseball mind, and he's a ball player himself. So he just kind of taught me the right way to go about doing things. Always reminding you what it takes to get to the next level, and just making sure that you're doing the right work every single day to get to the next level, because that's, everyone's goal everyone that was there at Pima had a goal to move on, and Coach Hakami did a good job of preparing us for that.
We're joined by Ian Mejia, Mississippi Braves starting pitcher before the Braves play the Tennessee Smokies, I believe it is, outside Knoxville, Tennessee. You were actually drafted, though, I believe, out of Sahuarita High School by the Mets in around the 30th round, if I'm not mistaken. What led you to go to the college route and not go to the majors right away after high school?
I mean, it's a dream. Getting drafted was a dream come true, and but at that point in time, I felt like it was a better move to go the college route for me. I felt like there was still some things that I had to learn, and I just had to refine. And I felt like going the college route was going to do that for me. It took some turns, but I mean, it all worked out, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, going to New Mexico State then, but then drafted in the 11th round in 2022 by the Braves. What was that like, that experience and that thrill of being selected by, one of the premier franchises in Major League Baseball?
That's a big moment in my life for sure. And I got to enjoy that with my family. And like I said, it's a dream come true. And this time I was going and I was all in, and it was just awesome to be able to share that moment with my family, and just kind of, it paid off. The work that I had done up to that point, it paid off.
Minor league baseball players, certainly you play all over, and you live in different cities for a brief amount of time. What's Jackson, Mississippi like? Got to be a little bit different than Nogales and Sahuarita, no?
Oh yeah, it's hot, but it's a different type of heat out here. It's the humidity is different. It's not like the heat that I'm used to, that's for sure. But it's a cool spot. I love it. It's so green. Another thing that I'm not used to, but it's awesome just being able to experience different cities, see different stuff, different cultures, try different foods. Been trying crawfish and crawfish boils and stuff, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you don't find that in Nogales or in Sahuarita. That's for sure. Not very often. Way. Well, you mentioned the humidity, and it is different to grip the baseball, right? I mean, remember back in the when Major League Baseball first came to Arizona, and they were so worried about the lack of humidity. They had a humidor and all that kind of. What's it like to be able to maybe grip the ball a little bit better than you could have, say, when you're pitching at Sahuarita or at Pima Community College?
Yeah, no, that was a big adjustment that I had to make right after I signed, actually, right after the draft when we reported to minicamp down in Florida. It's the middle of summertime. I'm used to being in the heat, obviously, so the heat didn't bother me too much, but the humidity, it's a big adjustment. Just playing catch, the rosin's always available. We got guys pitching with towels in their pockets just to kind of keep the sweat under control. But it's a little bit different, but I wouldn't say it's too big of a challenge.
There's a lot of baseball players from Southern Arizona who have made it big and made it to the big leagues. Any who you admired kind of growing up, or any role models that you had, even if they didn't come from Arizona?
I mean, just being from Arizona, being from Tucson, watching guys like Alex Verdugo and playing alongside Nick Gonzalez and watching him go and make his way up through the minors, that's always cool. But growing up, like probably in high school, going into college, I really watched Jack Flaherty a lot. I feel like we had a similar build, and when he was with the Cardinals, I watched him a lot, and I tried to emulate him and see all the stuff that he did well and try to kind of tie that into my game a little bit, mix it in.
Ian, what's in your own mind? What's your timetable? Obviously, your goal is to make it to the big leagues. You're already at AA. You're what, 24 years old? I'm sure that at some point you are expecting to make the jump either into the big leagues or at least AAA, then to the big leagues. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. It's always the goal, but I'm just trying to do the best that I can and try to prepare myself as best as I can, and I'll be ready when my name gets called. I'm not the one making those decisions, so I just try to prepare myself and get myself to a point where I know that I can have success at the next level.
Well, Ian, you're on your way. Congratulations on the no-hitter and the scoreless streak and being named the Southern League pitcher of the month. And thanks for taking a few minutes. I know the play-by-play guy for your team needs that booth back for the game coming up at the top of the hour
Yeah, we're
as
getting close.
Mississippi gets ready to play the Tennessee Smokies. Minor league baseball is great. One thing we kind of miss here in Tucson, not having affiliated minor league baseball, but who knows? Things have a way of changing. So, Ian Mejia, thank you so much for a few minutes here on the huddle with me and Pat. We wish you continued success, and we'll get you down the road. Okay.
All right. Thank you guys for having me. You guys have a good one.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
all right.
you too.
Ian Mejia, Mississippi Braves pitcher. Nogales originally went to high school in Sahuarita, and he's tearing it up in the minor leagues. So we thought we'd give him a chat here on the huddle.
Yeah, and Jason, you know, he said that, you know, he that split fingered fastball, he ends up you know, taking a time over the, you know, last offseason and really developing it, and it's working for him, obviously. So you wonder if he now, with the success he's had, if he can continue it for the rest of the season, elevates himself up the depth chart of the minor league prospects, because right now he's not in, you know, in that upper echelon of their minor league prospects. But boy, you put up a summer like this, and he suddenly becomes much more in their plans, the Atlanta Braves plans, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you'd wondered what changed, because if you look at his stats from last year, remember what they are this year, and it's the hits per innings pitched is really down. So that was good that you got that out of him. So that's terrific. We know
68 Ks and 61 and 2/3 innings. That's a really good ratio. And you mentioned it, just over a 1 with a whip, walks plus hits and innings pitched, and you get that down right at 1 like that. That's a potential major leaguer right there.
And we know what split fingered fastballs have done for pitchers over the years. So, okay. All right. Well, switching gears to here, our huddle poll question of the week. And certainly it's the big topic in sports right now. If you're following it, it's Caitlin Clark. Okay. We got to be a little careful here with what we say, Pat. At least I know I do, because there's a lot, there's a lot of talk about race right now in sports. So, anyway, our huddle poll question: WNBA attendance is up more than 100% over last season. By the way, they just had 3 million viewers, I think, for the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark game on CBS. Viewership up triple digits. It says here in the huddle poll question, this could be due to Clayton Clark. Come on, this is due because of Caitlin Clark. Okay, she wasn't there last year. She's the difference maker. All right, so what do you want to choose here? A, put her on the Olympic team. She was left off the Olympic team for some reason. B, why so many Caitlin Clark haters? Or C, hey, I want to see her play. When does she play next? I voted for A, put her on the Olympic team.
Yeah, see, I wasn't as offended by that as a lot of people were, and I'll explain that in a minute. I was debating between B and C, and I can see both of those. And I do want to see when she plays next, but my B was why so many haters. I know why there are so many haters. I get it. Anytime,
what is it? Jealousy?
It's jealousy. Anytime somebody who has not accomplished a single thing at that next level gets all of that attention, that's when the haters come out, because it's very easy to sit back as a veteran in a league like the WNBA and say, what has she done? I've been working my rear end off for 7 years, and I'm an all-star, and I've won a WNBA championship, and she's done nothing, and she's only a college player coming in. Why does she get so much publicity? And a lot of it's just right player, right time. You know, she's been the most outstanding player in college basketball pretty much her whole 4 years at Iowa, but really these last 2, she was National Player of the Year the last 2 years. And she got a lot of accolades and a lot because she smashed the scoring record, Jason, men or women, right?
So she played 4 years or 5?
She played, I believe it was 4. No, she could have come back for a 5th year, and she did not. So
okay, she did it in 4. I don't want to. Right. I just wanted to make sure she didn't break a 4-year record.
And that was the whole thing. No, it was not a padded stat. It was a legitimate stat, and she's a remarkable 3-point shooter, and she can play defense. She does all the things well. She's a terrific player. But here's my thought about the Olympic team. Sure, would I love to have had her on the Olympic team? Yes, but she hasn't proven that she's one of the 12 or 14 or however many they place on the team or one on the team best players in the in women's college basketball professional level. And she'll get her chance. She'll probably be the captain on the team in 4 years. You know, she'll be that good. I fully expect her to be that good. Leaving her off the team this time, I don't think it was a slight. I just think it was, we don't know for a fact that she's one of the top 12 players in Americans in women's college or women's professional
But is
basketball.
Diana Taurasi? I mean, she's now to me a legend as opposed to a
Well,
player in the
but
prime.
you always have those. You always have those on those Olympic teams. You always have the guy that maybe is a little past his prime, but they're they're kind of the torch bearer. They deserve to be on that team, and then they
Wouldn't
become.
you want to see maybe her with Diana Taurasi?
Yeah, but what you don't want to see is you don't want to see a player be put on that team and then not be quite good enough to just sit at the end of the bench. Then everybody's saying, why isn't she playing? Why isn't she playing? Well, this is really easy. You bring what you believe is the top dozen players, American players, and you have a Diana Taurasi on there because she's the one that can be the one that tells everybody how it's going to work and how you're going to make it through and to stay even keeled on. Because Caitlin Clark doesn't bring any experience of international play in an Olympic games. So, to me, it
I'll
wasn't that.
tell you what she does bring, though, Pat. She seems to be a class act. I mean, the way
There's
she's
no question.
the way she's handling everything. I mean, my gosh, I don't know that I would handle
The
that.
Olympic Committee was probably like, well, she'll get her shot and she'll handle it well, so we don't have to put her on there. I think that was part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, some of these shots that she's taken, a couple of borderline cheap shots. I mean, let's just say it. That she's taken in the way
No, there were
she's
some
handled
cheap
it and all
shots. They
that.
weren't borderline; they were cheap shots. And you
Okay,
do it.
good.
You do it when you think that the officials aren't really watching, and what they don't realize is there's cameras everywhere and everybody's watching. So,
Well, the one was a definite cheap
Yeah.
shot where the wasn't even during the course of play. Okay, that's an obvious one for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But she's handled it well, and the feud with Angel Reese is just going to drive ratings. And everybody needs a little bit of. We talk about the great rivalries in sports. Everybody
right.
need to. John McEnroe had a Jimmy Connors, or Federer had a Nadal, or a Dale Earnhardt had a Jeff Gordon, and the boxing ones. Everybody needs a rival.
Magic had Larry Bird. Don't forget,
Exactly.
Magic had Larry Bird.
That's
I mean,
right.
you got to have that legend, and don't forget, Magic and Larry Bird. Where did that start, Jason? Michigan State, Indiana State,
right.
NCAA, and
1979 Final Four.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looked like if we put that back up, it looked like B. There we go. Why so many haters? It looks like that was.
That's the one I picked.
That
I'm
was
not
winning
saying
it.
I'm right. I
It's
mean,
taken on a life of its own.
Yeah, it
People
has.
saying because she's white, because she's straight, those things. I think part of it though is that she's just different. I'll give you an example of somebody who's just different. John Daly was different, right? Didn't have anything to do with race.
Yep.
Tiger Woods was different. Maybe that did or did not. But I think anybody who's just going to be a little bit different is going to cause a little bit of attention, whether for whatever reason that they're different than. But I'm surprised it's gotten kind of to this point. But it's like it says in the Huddle poll question, ratings and attendance are up. And I think that the ad by Nike is pretty funny, where the janitor was like, "Oh my God, I never used to clean up this much mess." Yeah.
Funny.
All right, Pat, how about naming rights to the Big 12? Is it going to be called the All-State Big 12 or something like this? I mean, to me, when I first saw that story, I'm like, well, I guess this is next in line, right? Bowl games never used to have sponsors, and now they do. And heck, the Arizona Bowl is even being sponsored by a celebrity here, or a celebrity's drink.
Yep.
With Snoop Dogg and the gin and juice drink. By the way, actually, Pat, I had the apricot gin and juice, because what happened when we went to the news conference, right, for the naming of the Snoop Dogg Gin and Juice Bowl. Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. That's the correct term.
Yep.
So anyway, they give us a drink. Right, I'm working. I can't have the drink. So I take the apricot gin and juice home. Had it while I was away on vacation. It was really good.
Well, there you go.
I recommend the apricot. So anyway, I got off track here. This is just what's next. That's my thought. What was your thought on the Big 12?
And that's what I thought too. And I'm constantly looking at this as, the Pac-12 lost out, right? And the Big 12 lost out in a lot of ways, and the ACC lost out in a lot of ways. And you see that, Texas and Oklahoma now going to the SEC, and you see UCLA and USC and Oregon going to the Big Ten. So how do you keep up with the Joneses? How do you keep up with the SEC and the Big Ten if you're the Big 12 or the ACC? And that's money, right? You've got to find revenue streams in order to try to at least keep pace. You're going to be behind them, but you got to keep that distance behind them fairly close. And for the Big 12, there's a revenue stream nobody's thought of yet, or if you've thought of it, you've discounted it and didn't want to go there. The Big 12, York Meyer's doing those kind of things. He's looking ahead. We see Desiree Reed-Francois doing the same thing. They're looking for revenue streams all the time. And if naming rights for the Big 12, who cares? I mean, does it really hurt the brand just to call it All-State Big 12? Because guess what? On every one of the pregame and postgame shows, somebody's sponsoring it, right? So you might as well just sponsor the conference.
I tell you what, that should be a lot of money to sponsor.
Well, they're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars over the life of that deal. I don't know if the deal's 10 years and it's going to be, $500 million or something like that. It's got to be a lot of money. You're right.
And Allstate or whoever sponsor it may be has to really make sure that that's going to help, because obviously you're going to hear the name over and over and over again. Yeah. But in every situation, it hasn't worked. When Charlotte Motor Speedway was Lowe's Motor Speedway, the Speedway wasn't sure if that was helping. Obviously, the money coming in was helping, but if people really wanted it in Charlotte being named Lowe's Motor Speedway, it was always Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Right.
So, it's a little bit different here. That has this connection to a city. This is more a conference. But I think Allstate needs to do its homework as well, because that could be a lot of money. But it's just interesting, I think we see it the same way. It's just like the patches on the uniforms. It's just kind of what's next.
Even the NBA uniforms have a patch on it. We saw
and it was good to see. The Celtics had Walton. Obviously not an advertisement, but
no, they also had.
I didn't know that they were going to have that in the postseason, and to see that on the finals, that was kind of neat.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Jason, because that all ties in. We as we were waiting to do the newscast that almost never made it on last night. We were supposed to come on at 8. And of course, with all the celebration, we got on at like 8:52 for an 8-minute newscast. But, it's apropos, it's fitting. Is it spiritual? Bill Walton probably thinks so. But for Bill Walton to pass away right as the Pac-12 dissolves,
I know, right?
We didn't know whether or not, what was he going to do? Was he going to, who was he going to call the games? Well, we never have to worry about that now. So he passes away. And then the Celtics go on and immediately after that win a championship. The team he's obviously remembered for as well. So, you just wonder if there was a little something up there and Bill Walton smiling down right now about the Celtics.
I remember, I think a lot of people remember him from Portland, but he won the 86 title as the 6th man on the Celtics, if I want to say.
I think that's right.
I was 11 years old. I definitely was watching, but I think he was the 6th man on the 86 team.
Yep.
I know he was like 6th man of the year. I don't know if that was the 86 year. We can look it up, obviously, but yeah, no, he definitely had, success. And, I saw in the documentary, the first thing he did when he was signed with the Celtics was to call Robert Parrish and say, no, this is you're the center, this is your team.
Right.
I'm going to fit in. And he did. So,
he did.
It's kind of funny the way that works. So I'm glad that kind of worked out.
Yeah. It's just, we had a good feel about it. Let's put it that way. I'm not a Celtics fan. I don't know that there's a lot of Celtics fans in Tucson, but I think that, it was kind of fitting in a way.
All right. I'm looking it up real fast. Yep. 86 NBA 6th man of the year. Yep. And I'm pretty sure the Celtics won in 81, 84, and 86.
That sounds right.
Yeah. All right. Well, and on that note, for Pat Paris, I'm Jason Barr. This has been the Huddle, KGUN 9's weekly streaming sports talk show. Thanks also to our guest this week, Ian Mejia, and our Huddle poll, which you can still vote on KGUN9.com. And that's also where you can see rebroadcast if you missed the first part of the show. And there's the Huddle poll question about Caitlin Clark if you didn't get a chance to vote. For Pat, I'm Jason. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next week.